Hey guys, I would like to explain a little bit about how the Opensolr pricing and ordering procedure is actually happening and the various ways and you can use Opensolr at this time. Because we've been getting a lot of complaints that the ordering and the pricing is a little confusing and we want to make sure that the users are getting the best out of our service and out of our solar cloud, and to try to make it clear exactly what the product types are and how we manage everything around here. Okay, so first of all, as you may already know, I'm logged into my account. I'm just gonna log out. So as you may know by now, first thing you have to do after browsing around the website, you would go to pricing and registration, right? So this would land you to the pricing page. Now this is a pricing calculator. This is basically here to help you set up your package, the package that you want. Now here you get to set up the resources that you want for your account. You have the base solar resources here. Um, Now, there's a new feature coming up that was just released recently. It's the private clusters. Now, we had this before, but now there have been a lot of bug fixes on it, and it's ready to go into production and ready to go into use. So basically, what I want to explain is each one of these options that you get here when you get to calculate your cost, your monthly cost for your solar cloud. So again, the base solar resources, these are the resources when you want to use the simple solar setup. The simple solar setup is the setup in which you create a multi-core environment. You have the chance to create multiple indexes. So as you can see here, you get to select up to 100 indexes. There's a fee of $6.15 a month for each index. So basically, if you select like two, the price is going to get automatically updated here. Um, so this is like the number of indexes that you're going to use. Now, I want to stress a little bit about the fact that if you choose to create more indexes, each and every one of these resources here are going to be applied for each solar index, right? So if you get two indexes and you select 100 megabytes of disk space, now this is going to mean that you're going to have 200 megabytes total that you can use. Now, regardless if you want to use distributed search or sharding or whatever setup you want to use in order to take advantage of the 200 megabytes, or you have two separate websites that you want to use it on, we don't really care. This is an important thing that people should remember, that these resources apply for each of the indexes. They're not going to be divided by the number of indexes, right? So okay, now of course we have free HTTPS access. So now this is a fairly recent development in Opensolr. This is going to be enabled by default here. All our indexes and servers now come with HTTPS. So basically your requests to the Opensolr servers are going to be over HTTPS, so that you get more security with it. Upon request, a lot of people, if you go to get support here and you fill up this form, you can request that we also add, along with free HTTPS, that we also add basic HTTP authentication to your index or indexes, right? So basically, you get full security when using the service here, and plus you also get IP access list enabled for your indexes and so forth. Then we have the disk space. This is the amount of disks that is allocated to your index, right? For each of your indexes, right? Again, if you select 100 megabyte, 200, you get to select up to 10 gigabytes per index. Now, mind you, this is in a normal setup, in a normal in the average setup, especially while using Solar with Drupal, or I don't know, a classic Magento installation, well, depending on the size of your store or whatever you have, you would never actually need to go above, I don't know, maybe 15 100 megabytes, or let's say, I don't know, like 3 gigabytes should be the absolute maximum that you would ever go, because in the simple setup here, this is, again, this is the base solar resources for the simple Opensolr setup, when you do not need to use the private clusters, right? So you do not have more than 10 million records, or more than 1 terabyte of information or anything like that. So this is for the simple setup. You know, this is like totally easy to go in and set it up. Okay, now we have the number of documents. This is pretty straightforward. Again, it's for each solar index. By default, it's 10,000. You get to pay like 5 cents for each 10,000 documents. You can go with 100,000. The price gets updated, you know, instantly. And then you have the bandwidth. This is more like the request's bandwidth, request's threshold, right? So this refers to the outbound monthly traffic that is being performed by your solar index. So in other words, this means the actual amount of data that you request from our servers. We're not counting the data coming into the servers, because of course, like, if you were gonna index 2 gigabytes of data or 3 gigabytes of data, you'll run out of bandwidth instantly, right? So we just decided that what's important to us is that you do not it's basically that our servers don't get overloaded with outbound traffic, because that's basically what's concerning, you know, and that's what keeps the service professional and keeps it running smoothly, right? So so this is you get to pay like 75 cents for 1 gigabyte. So this is the pricing here. Again, I must overstress on this. The pricing here is subject to change with or without prior notification. Now, a lot of people ask us like, well, the price has changed and now I'm paying, you know, less, and now if I want to upgrade, I'm going to pay a lot more, and or, you know, I paid more, but now I see that the prices went down, because the prices here can go down as well, right? So um, you should maybe keep an eye on it, and of course, you do know that you can upgrade or downgrade at any time, and the whole process is instant, completely instant. All right, so as you know, increase your bandwidth or decrease your bandwidth here, it's your prices are going to get updated. Now we get the extra features. These extra features also apply to the basic, to the simple solar setup. And if you want to use the Opensolr Index Analytics, right? The analytics is about $10.95 a month. If you either you want to use the backup, we have a nice backup manager that you can use and download backups of your entire solar index. That is to say, you can download your full data and configuration so that you don't lose it. Uh, you do know, and everybody knows, Opensolr offers a 15-day free trial, but after 15 days, you may lose your data and lose your configuration. So backups would be a nice option to have in such instances, like your account has expired, and before, you know, before the right after the grace period, you don't want to lose your data, so you need to have it backed up, and this is a great option here. The web crawler is another great feature that you get to enter as many URLs as you purchase here. It's $5.95 per URL, and you get to set up the crawler to either index some pages or some paths of your website, or the entire website. Just crawl and index the entire website. We also actually, for that matter, in our documentation, if you go into the web crawler, not sure exactly, you should go to the old resources or use our search engine. We have a nice clip demonstrating the web crawler capabilities and how you can use it in a sharded environment, in a distributed search environment, right? You get to distribute two, so you index one website in, I don't know, in a server in Netherlands, and another website in a server in Australia, and you know, you get to serve both of them depending on the geographical location of your customers, and so on and so forth. There are a lot of things that you can do with you know, using the web crawler, and it's fully automated. It crawls and it indexes your website you know, in no time. It's multi-process and all that stuff, right? So basically, this is what's going on with the web crawler. Now, if you take this one and if you enter more than 0 URLs, like if you enter one in here, obviously you're going to get the option to index one website, right? All right, now moving on, the most important part that I wanted to reach today is the private clusters. Now, the private clusters are not a part of this setup. Okay, so what we've seen so far is the basic, this simple Opensolr usage. If you want to use it, like I said, for your average website, if you're not part of a corporation, if you don't need to distribute your documents, you don't have such tremendous amount of data that it would need to be distributed over multiple servers and multiple shards. You don't really have to worry about the private clusters, right? But if you do have some very large amounts of data, you might want to use the private clusters, and we're going to show you exactly why you might want to do this. Basically, it's because you get to choose the number of private clusters you want. Typically, this would be one. I would fail to see why anyone would want to use more private clusters unless they have more data sets, more large data sets, right? If you have only one large data set, you would only use one private cluster, right? Um, and the number of shards that you want to distribute the data onto, right? So basically, if you select here number 5, you're going to get 5 shards to distribute your data. Now, we're going to go into the control panel, and we're going to demonstrate exactly how you create these shards. We're not going to index any data per se, but this is just to show, it'll be just to show how the data gets indexed and how you're going to be able to, well, how the shards are being created, I'm sorry, and how you're going to be able to um, put how you're going to be able to create the shards in different servers, right? So each of these 5 shards can be created in different servers, in different machines physically, right? So you can create one of them in, like I said, in Singapore, another one in Australia, another one in the United States, and well, typically you won't do that. You will need to set them all up in pretty much the same geographical region because they need to communicate between each other, and so that we can minimize the network lag, right? All right, so this is about the private cluster. Now, again, typically, if you do not want to, if you do not have tremendous amounts of data, you should probably just leave these at 0 and 0. I don't know, 80, 90% of your users probably will never use this. But there are times, again, when some people might want to distribute their data onto multiple servers. Okay, so this is pretty much it about the ordering procedure. If you still have questions about this, please use the Get Support form here and just ask your question, or call the sales support, call the technical support as well, and we'll be happy to assist in your ordering. Right? You can also order by phone at the by calling the numbers here or here. Right? So. This is it about the pricing, right? So now we're gonna log into our account, and I'm gonna show you a little bit about the control panel, right? Now I'm gonna click on control panel here. It's gonna take me to my Solr Indexes Manager. Now, as you can see, this is the simple setup. This is the Solr Index Manager, this simple Solr setup, right? Where I get all these options here, the add index, manage my indexes, and all this stuff. I can cancel my subscription at any time. I have documentation about the REST API. This is again a great feature if you want to programmatically like upload multiple files, configuration files to your Solr core, delete, and you have a lot of options here. It's definitely worth giving it a look and try to see exactly what you can do with the REST API. So, but now we're going to go into the private cluster manager. So you see we have the option to add a new cluster. As you can see, I already have one here, but I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to remove this one. because what I want to do is I want to create a new one altogether, right? So I'm going home. I don't have any cluster set up yet. I'm going to create a new one, right? As you can see, you get to select the region where you want to initialize your cluster, right? So we have these regions available for you by default, but you need to keep this in mind. We can add any amount of servers here for you. So basically, if you're a corporation, you have a tremendous amount of data and you want to distribute it over 5 or 6 servers, all you have to do is you have to is basically just come here and you're going to see your dedicated servers here as well. Only you are going to be able to see them, nobody else, right? And you're going to be able to manage your clusters from here, right? So just assuming that this is your own dedicated server, only you're going to be able to see it, nobody else, right? So right now I'm going to add a new cluster. I'm going to call it A, right? And I'm going to initialize it in Paris, HTTP authentication username, and just choose A, password A. And now it's very important to take note that it might take some time before your shard becomes active for search and indexing data, right? Shard or cluster. So if you initialize your cluster right now, you might want to wait about, give it like 5 minutes for it to get fully set up, right? I'm going to click add right now. It just shows up here, and this is the control panel of the private cluster, right? What this means is that I have the cluster information, right? I have the authentication username, the password here, and I have the path. So I have all the information that's required for me to set up my Solar connection with whatever kind of provider I'm using, either it's Drupal or whatever. Now we have the connection URLs here. In any private cluster, as I said, you get to use multiple shards, right? And the data is being distributed across multiple servers, and that's what we call them. We call them shards, right? So basically, these are 2 URLs that you can use either one of them. You have one with HTTP and the other one is the HTTPS, right? If I click on either one of these, I'm going to get the same data, right, that I indexed. Of course, like I said, I'm not going to index any data right now, but you get the point, right? So if I click on this one, of course, you see this, right? Now, I'm going to go ahead and I had my username and passwords already saved in the cache of the browser, so this is why I was able to come right in, right? But yeah, this is like now you get the HTTPS totally fine, working fine here. And if you go into HTTP, you're going to see the exact same thing. You know, I have the username and the password, and you get the same thing, right? Of course, again, when you index some data, you're going to see a lot of stuff in here, a lot of documents and stuff like that, right? But right now we have an empty cluster, right? To add, what you have to do right now, at this stage, you have to add a new shard, right? So for that, you would click this little plus sign here, because this is your main cluster. The main cluster is going to create an initial shard, which is always going to be called shard 1. And you're going to have to click this little button here, add new shard to this cluster, right? And what should be, all you have to do is just give it a name. We're going to give it the name B, and we're going to create it in, let's say in Stuttgart, in Germany, right? Again, it might take a little time before your shard may be ready for search and indexing, right? So you click on add right now. Typically, what you want to do is you want to design your cluster first, and then you want to go in and modify the schema XML, modify the Solar config, and all this stuff, right? You want to do that because because if you modify these files first, it might be a little inconsistent while propagating all the configurations throughout the entire cluster. Like you can see right now, you're editing the files in France, but they have to get propagated in Germany, and who knows, maybe you have another server in France, but they have to be propagated over the network, and you need to give a little time, and therefore you need to design your index and then edit your files, and only then, after you're happy with your configuration, you can index and search data in your private cluster. So now this is another important thing. You need to know that these things are going to be on a red background while they're still propagating, while the the system is still working on synchronizing the two shards in the same cluster. So now you're going to click refresh from time to time to see if they're done. So now you can see this one is done. So this one is now is on the green. It's ready for us to search and index. Okay, so now we added one more shard to our cluster, and what we have to do right now is we need to add a new replica to the shard, right? If we click on this one, we're going to add replica 1, right? And we're going to create the replica in the Amazon EC2 in Europe West, right, region. So I click on add, and we're going to see that it created it right here, right? This gets red again because the replica now is under, um, is being set up as under synchronization with the rest of the cluster, right? So you also have a little icon here to delete the replica, to restart the replica. You can also restart every shard in here, right? In case something goes wrong, or the shards go out of sync, which shouldn't really happen. But if again, if you make a lot of changes to your configuration files after you have data inserted into the cluster, you might have a problem. You might want to reindex the data. You might want to reset and reindex the data, because obviously it's not going to be the data you already have is not going to be the same, and it's not going to fit the new configurations that you are making in the schema XML file or any other file in here, right? Okay, so now let's say you add yet another shard. Just give it any random name. We're going to put it in Australia this time. So this is just to demonstrate that you can actually, have your shards in any country, in any, location you want, right? As you can see, you have all these connection URLs in here. Now, what this means is that you can actually use any one of these endpoints here. And you can for your connection, right? This is also useful if you want to balance the whole thing. Now you want to, let's say you want to make your search requests, and you select this server, for instance, right? Or the HTTPS version of it. You can use any other one of these, and you'll still get the exact same results back, right? So you get, if you use this URL, it's the replica, and it's going to contain the exact same information as this shard. But if you make a search request in this replica, you're going to get the search results from the entire cluster. So this is all very well documented on the Solr documentation pages. But just so you know, whenever you create a cluster, you get all of these endpoints, and you can use any one of them to make your searches or to index data. So you can index data in the Australia shard, and use the Germany shard to make searches. All right, how cool is that? So okay, let's try to see if they propagated here. And now okay, it's all good. And let's try to look at the one in Germany, right? The HTTPS in Germany. So it's asking for username and password, and here we go, right? Now let's try to use the secure one in Australia, and username and password. Here we go. All right, so now you can see that it's actually everywhere I go, and every URL I use, I'm gonna get the same results. Now, of course, without indexing some data, you're not actually able to see that you get the same results, but I dare you to do that. Just go ahead, index some data, just use any Solr client you want, just set it up with Drupal or whatever, and you're gonna see that any kind of endpoint you access, you're gonna get the exact same information, right? All right, I'm gonna close these down. So this is pretty much it about the private cluster. If you still have questions about how to use this, please don't hesitate to use the live support here on the website, or just go to just use our support form in here, and we'll be happy to assist with your configuration, or actually whatever problem you might have when you set up the entire thing, right? All right. Now, of course, the index manager. You get to select your version of Solr from here. We have one server running Solr 6. Now, Solr 6, a lot of people are getting it confused, and a lot of people think it's a version of that we've created here in house. That's not true. The Solr 6 is actually the official nightly build of on the Apache Solr website. So basically, this is what we're using on this server, right? And Solr version 4, it's installed on all of these servers. This is more popular, the 4.0. It's actually Solr 6 is here only for um, experimental purposes and just for you to test out some features of it. But it's not really. I can't envision many cases when people might want to use the Solr 6 features. Of course, it does bring to the table, it does bring a lot of new features to the table, and it's a great, it has many new great features, but Solr 4 is pretty much enough for pretty much what everybody needs right now, right? So yeah, you just choose your server, you choose your index type. These are some templates, but you can also, like you saw, you can modify your schema XML freely, do whatever you want, and you give it a name and you just create your index. Again, the Solr indexes manager here, this is the simple way to do it. If you have large, tremendous amount of data, you're going to use the private cluster, and you saw how you can create your shards, how you replicate each one of your shards. Again, I'm going to replicate this shard as well, and I can also replicate this shard, and you're going to see that in case this server goes off, I'm going to have this replica running, and all so on and so forth. And this helps with resilience. It helps with performance, of course. It's if you have if you don't have a lot of data, just like I said, if you don't have terabytes of information, um, you can use this anytime. You can use the simple setup at any time without any problem. But if you do run into issues of performance and stuff like that, you might want to use the private cluster and distribute your data onto multiple servers. All right, so I hope this helped. And again, don't forget to use the support form here, or even use the phone to call us at any time if you have any kind of questions about how to set up your Solr index. Um, Thank you very much, and thank you. Bye bye.